here's a question from Michelle on a Facebook page, and she says, before starting SWR and cursive first, my now 6-year-old was writing manuscript and was on her way to reading VL sight words and basic phonogram study, but nothing like SWR. Anyway, she has completely stopped the manuscript. Yay, that's great. And all techniques not SWR in an effort to build a solid foundation as laid out in SWR. Good job, Michelle. I'm so proud of you. You've stopped the methods that have not been proven as successful as what SWR has, and you're really working on laying a good, strong foundation for your little one. Your problem is that she is ready to start learning to read, but she is still in the early stages of learning to write cursive. So she's unable to follow the cursive program completely using the primary learning log. While I'm teaching the cursive first, what else could I be doing with my eager non-cursive writer until she's completed step 6? Okay, so first of all, I would have her, first of all, make sure that you're teaching cursive first, both reading the cards and then working in the salt box, sidewalk, whatever you're doing for the large motor. Because she already had some manuscript experience, my assumption is that you can move to paper pencil much quicker. So I would not drag out the cursive first instruction. I would move as quickly as I can. Usually she's a 6-year-old. Let's say I was working with a kindergartner. I would want to spend no more than 8 weeks with a kindergartner, say 5, early 6-year-old. I would not want to spend more than 8 weeks working on cursive. I want to get that up and going. Now, you can actually start working on some of the spelling words in the large motor. We have a video. It is on my website, and let me write myself a note. If you go to the, I can't remember if it's on the SWR or the Cursive First FAQ page. There's a video of Britta. If you just go to any of the pages on my website and do a search for Britta, B-R-I-T-T-A, there is a video there where she shows you how she taught her 4-year-old son the beginning spelling all on a whiteboard. He was not writing on paper. He was not writing in a learning log. He did it on a whiteboard using large motor. And so obviously he had he had to be able to keep up with her with the cursive. So for example, the word she's modeling is the word top, and it's actually on her You Can Do It SWR video. That's available from our shop. But you can see segments of that online. Unfortunately, it's not on our Endorsed SWR YouTube channel. So that's why I say you have to go to my FAQs page and find the video. It's on my website. But okay, so let me go back. So this is what I would do if I wanted to get into the spelling lists and the child hadn't finished transitioning to paper with all of the cursive. I would do as much as I could to get the cursive done quickly. Again, because she's had previous writing experience, my guess is you can transition to paper pencil more quickly than if you were starting from the very beginning. Also, I would go through lists A, B, C even, all on the salt box or a whiteboard, not worrying about paper pencil yet. Just get into the spelling quickly and then come back maybe after list B or C, and now by that time her cursive should be up and going, and you can redo all of that in the learning log. So you're going to teach the consonant vowel page. If she's not ready to write in the log, have her just dialogue as you teach that. She's not writing in her log, she's watching you do it on the board, but she's completely engaged. She's not just sitting there while you talk at her. You're asking her questions, you're guiding her, not expecting retention here, just exposing her to those ideas. Okay, then you're going to get into the spelling lists A, B, C. Meanwhile, you're getting your cursive up and going. By the time you get to list C, her cursive should be ready now for the book. So then go back, do the consonant vowel page again, this time having her write in the book. Put the multi-letter phonograms that you've taught so far in the book. Go back to A and now teach lists A, B, and C again, this time having her write them in her book. Let me tell you, the lists between A and I, lists A and I are 50% of what your child is ever going to need to read or write. And so those are key lists. And when you're first getting started, they're getting the whole idea of dictation down. There's a lot that's happening. So it does not hurt to go back and redo those, okay? And this time have her do them in her book. Now, as far as reading is concerned, normally we don't suggest that you open a book and have a child start reading until you get to section I1 in the spelling list. If you look at your scope and sequence in your spelled write and read book, reading from simple books is step 23. The scope and sequence is right here, and assign reading in books is right there at step 23, and that's after I1. Now, that is because by that time we've taught all 70 basic phonograms. And when do you actually do that? Well, that depends on the child. If she's ready to start reading and she's opening books and she's trying, I wouldn't say, you can't do that. You're not at step 23 yet. No, don't do that. You're going to squelch her desire. So I would follow her lead. I would say, okay, well, let's take a look at the book. Now, obviously, maybe have easy books around that maybe she would be successful. But what I'm saying is you're not going to push that. Around step 23, some kids are raring to go and some are not ready yet. Some kids, they're not going to be ready to start reading fluently until maybe you get to section L. It doesn't mean that that's the magic number. It means that's a typical time when kids have had enough vocabulary that they've been exposed to. By the time you get done with list I4, you've taught 260 spelling words. That's a lot of key basic vocabulary that child will encounter in easy to read books. And so the child needs to be reading fluently from the learning log and from the writing that you're doing, the writing sentences, practicing the spelling words. All of that work is preparing the child to then be able to open a book and read from a book. So there's some things for you to be working on. Work more quickly on your cursive. Get her into the log as quickly as you can. Start some of the spelling with large motor. Follow her lead when it comes to opening a book. And I will tell you, a lot of people say, they're busy working on the spelling list and they're like, well, when are we going to start reading? When are we going to start reading? The moment you hold up the A-A-Ah phonogram card, you have started to teach reading. That is the beginning. Many times we associate teaching reading with opening a book. And let me just tell you, teaching reading is teaching a child how the written code works, so that the child can actually take the language, the words, and the thoughts and the ideas that he has in his mind, and he can put them into that language. And you know what? He can look at what other people have written, their thoughts and their ideas, and he can understand that code in order to take those ideas out of the code and understand what the other person has written. So that's what we are doing. That's why we're doing spelling first, because we're teaching how the code works. We're teaching reading at the same time we're teaching phonograms. At the same time we're teaching spelling words. We are teaching reading. Okay?